Welcome to episode 96 of the Woolly Thistle podcast, coming to you from the gorgeous state of New Hampshire. Today is Friday, May 31st, and I'm your host, Corrine. The Woolly Thistle brings your favourite yarns from the UK and Europe and makes them easily accessible in North America. At thewoollythistle.com, you will find the best of British yarns such as Blacker Yarns, US Wool and Jameson and Smith, to name a few. You will also find yarns from Scandinavia, including Wool Centrum, Plutolopi, Rauma, Tuku Wool, and lots more. At the Woolly Thistle, we encourage woolly wanderlust and we share information about where the wool was grown and milled. We specialise in finding yarn made at the source, whether that will be on wild Scottish islands or in the Devon countryside or in the mountains of Portugal, where we find it and share it with you. With excellent customer service and beautiful yarns to peruse, you will love shopping at the Woolly Thistle. That's 2 L's in Woolly. Let the Woolly Thistle do the international shipping so you don't have to. Thank you, returning listeners. Thank you for coming back and spending some time with me again. And if you're a new listener, thank you very much for checking out the Woolly Thistle. It's really good to have you here. I've been posting some short videos on Instagram TV lately on Fridays, showing you a few things from the shop, and I think you're liking it. Many of you have left really nice comments, which I appreciate. So I think I will keep doing that. And I said I was going to put a post out on Instagram asking folks if there was special things they wanted to see, and then I never did that. So I will try and do that going forward, because I'd love to show you what it is you want to see. I think I finally got my comfort spot as well, sitting on a couch rather than on a little chair. So yeah, it's a work in progress and I'm keeping them short. So hopefully you are enjoying watching them. And I'm putting them up on YouTube as well and in the blog on the shop. So you can definitely find it wherever you might be. So let's get started, shall we? This episode includes Off the Needles, On the Needles, Up Next, Cowl News, and the Woolly Thistle update. Off the Needles, well, I've talked ad nauseum about this. It is Rosamund by Marie Wallin, and I actually showed it to you on the last Friday shop update that I recorded. This is designed by Marie Wallin, and it's in her Bloomsbury book, which of course I stock. And it's knitted in Rowan felted tweed, which is a DK weight yarn, and it's very tweedy and soft. It's got wool, alpaca, and I can't remember, it's got a small percentage of viscose in it, and it's got lovely tweedy flecks. So I finished that. Well, I still have to weave in the ends. And now I have to put it away because it's too warm to wear right now. So that's the only thing off the needles. Other than that, big fat nothing. I was all gung-ho to get started on another sweater, which I have, but I'll tell you about that. So really, I feel like I'm knitting small things at the moment, and it's sort of a palette cleanser, and it's not too much pressure, which I like right now. That's what I need. So I'll tell you about those. So I've got a few different things on the needles right now that I'm actively knitting on. My Fair Feet by Virginia Sattler Reamer. I'm reaching for them. I'm almost finished. I've turned the heel on the second sock and I'm knitting down the foot. I would say I'm nearing the ball of the foot, so I'll be doing the toe very soon. I've loved knitting these. I'm knitting them as per the pattern, which calls for Blacker Classic 4-ply, and I'm knitting them on the needles called for in the pattern too. These have come out really big, perfect for my husband, too big for me, but I do have tiny feet. And I'm knitting them in the pale green, which is like a lovely spring apple green color. And Jay really likes them, so I think he'll be wearing these a lot when it's sock season. And so I'm knitting on those, and I'm loving them. That pattern is called My Fair Feet, and it's by Virginia Sattler Reamer, who is Ginny SR on Instagram. And it's a lovely ribbed sock. I've talked about it before. It's ribbing around the back of the ankle, and on the front, you've got 2 lovely cables and little channels of, I don't know what you call it. It's garter stitch 1 row and purling the next row. So sort of, I don't know if it's a broken garter stitch. I don't know what they call it, but it's really very pretty and effective. And the sock is stretchy and tight all at the same time, which makes it a good ankle hugger. I think I said that last time. Sorry, I missed recording the last episode because yes, that's right. I've had a birthday and Mother's Day all in there on the weekends, and I record on the weekends. So I just didn't get time to do it. So we're squeezing 1 episode in right before the end of the month, which is good. Right, so knitting on those, they'll be finished hopefully by the next time we speak. And I cast on my Burra Cowl, which is by Marie Wallin, and this is out of her Shetland book. And the cowl is an all-over colourwork cowl, and I'm sure you know the pattern I'm talking about. It's got 12 different colours in it, I think, in Marie Wallin fashion, and it's just lovely. I finished the first repeat. I started this, but then I quickly had to wait because I was still waiting for yarn to come in. I'm knitting this in the Jameson Spindrift, which the pattern calls for. All of the patterns in the Shetland book by Marie are knitted in Jameson Spindrift, and I've gotten lots of the colours into the shop specifically for making kits out of the Shetland book. So you know that we have the Burra Cowl, the Scalloway hat, the Scary mittens, and we have the Bresse or Bressa sweater, which is that lovely bramble color sweater. It's purpley with a very deep yoke. And we have the Yell cardigan, which is an all over color work cardigan that is in 2 tones of grey and then has this gorgeous border around it. And it's a lovely design. So yes, and those are doing well. We've sold out of many of the colours and I'm waiting for more to come in. As they come in, I'm putting them in the shop and getting those kits populated again for you. So if you see it come in the shop, I wouldn't wait too long. If you want it, go ahead and get it. Yeah, so anyway, I'm sort of jumping around, haven't I? So I'm knitting the Burra Cowl and I'm enjoying that. I have all the colours now. I did make a little mistake. There's 2 kind of gold colours. There's a more brownish gold and a more bright gold. And where I should have done the more brownish gold, I put in the bright gold. And it looks fine, but it is very high contrast where it is. But I'm not going to rip back and take it out. I will do the rest when I repeat this motif. I'll do the rest the way they should be. And we'll just have one very sticky out one. And that's fine. I'm okay with mistakes. You know, you got to live with your mistakes. We're only human, right? Right. So that's that. And I'm also, I think I mentioned last time, knitting on Annie Claire's Sweet Pie Shawl, which is something I started at Squam last year. Oh my gosh, and I'm off to Squam very soon again this year. Maybe I'll take this as knitting. And I'm knitting this in the Rama Strict Garn, which is their DK weight. So this is going to be a huge shawl, a pie shawl. So that's a fully circular shawl. It's very lacy, and I love knitting it. Lace is my least favorite thing, as you know, but this isn't difficult lace, and I feel very clever knitting a pie shawl. And that makes all the difference. So I'm really enjoying it. I actually had to stop knitting on this because I ran out of yarn and I had to get some from the shop. And I kept forgetting to bring it home. So I've done that today and we'll get back knitting on that. Pie shawls are often knitted in very lightweight yarns, fingering or lace weight, but this is a DK, so it's huge and it's going to be very scrumptious and it's absolutely lovely to knit. I'm really enjoying knitting with the strict garn and I want to do more knitting with this. It's a DK weight, so it's quite a fast knitter-upperer. Yes, that's it, except for the Lulu Sweater, which is by Coco Knits, and I was inspired by the beautiful Sarah of Fibre Trek, who was wearing her Lulu in Edinburgh. And this is a very airy, breezy, lightweight sweater that flares out at the bottom. So it's a nice kind of long tunic length. And it's knitted top down, which is not typically my favorite, I have to say. I know that's not a popular position. I like to knit bottom up for the most part. I don't know why. I think it's easier to decrease than increase. Maybe it's something to do with that. It's quite a clever construction, the way they have you start this at the neckline and then you're adding in the sit-in sleeves as you go. And it's very clever, but I feel like it's looking quite bunched up. And maybe I'm just not happy with how it's looking. But on the other hand, when I stretch it out, like it would be when it's being worn, it's absolutely fine. So I need to get over myself and just get on with it. That has come to a bit of a standstill. And also, it's a fingering weight yarn that I'm knitting on US 5s. And I'm using a yarn from Whistle Bear Yarns. And I picked this up at Edinburgh Yarn Festival. And it's 80% mohair and 20% Wensleydale, all from their flocks. And it is so silky and soft to the touch. It's not too fuzzy, like mohair is. Quite a fuzzy, and everybody's adding it to other yarns when they're knitting. So this is all in there. And it does have a halo, but it's not itchy scratchy at all. It's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I think I just need to get on and get knitting with that. The other thing about top down is, you do all the business stuff up front, which I know motivates people to get going. They like that interest. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think I like to start a project and start off nice and easy, just knitting in the round, maybe some ribbing, but just, miles and miles of stockinette. And then I like to get more excited as I get to the fun stuff. And I'm really committed at that point to the project because I've done all the boring, laborious stuff and I've got almost a sweater to show for that. And I just need to finish, with the color work or the shaping or the this or the that. But when you start a sweater top down and you're doing all that stuff up front where you have to think, and you do have to think with this one because you're adding lots of shaping in the sleeves and the neckline at the same time, it's all this and at the same time kind of instruction, which, you have to really pay attention. That's all up front. And I don't have a lot to show for it yet. So it's easy for me to just say, I'll get to that and walk away. But I think I will come back to it, and maybe this week because I'm talking myself into it. I think it's going to have a lovely finished fabric. And if nothing else, that should spur me on for sure. So yes, Corinne, get back to that. And that's it. I think I've got 4 projects right now that are actively on the go, and that's just fine. None of them very big apart from that sweater. That is a sweater. But yeah, you're right. That doesn't actually feel like a sweater right now because it's just very small. And that's kind of nice. I think I'm feeling like I want to knit the small things right now. Number one, it's getting warmer outside, I suppose. So, I don't necessarily want to be knitting with a lot in my lap. But I think also mentally, just where I'm at, I just need little projects. I think. I'm not sure. Because I do want to knit more sweaters. But I think, it's okay for me just to sort of take a wee break from knitting all the big things. I don't know. I was very proud of myself last episode for having finished 4 sweaters already. And that is a sure way to kill off doing any more, I think. I don't know. I will get back to it. And I think I'm just going to enjoy finishing up those socks, knitting on the Burra Cowl. I actually think I might just keep knitting that Burra Cowl and make it twice as long if I have enough yarn to do that. Because the other cowl that I knitted, the Fulla cowl, which was just 2 colors, is twice as long, so you can wrap it around twice. And I literally lived in that all winter. And I think I'd like to do that with the Burra cowl as well. I think it would make it really, really wearable for me because it does get very cold here. And also it's just so beautiful. Why not have more of it? So yes, that's where I'm at right now. That's where my head is at. So up next, what's up next? Well, I've been talking for ages about Autumn Leaves by Lana Dacos, and I think that's going to be Blacker Tamar rather than Old Centrum. And I really want to knit with the Old Centrum, but I think that is actually going to be better for a Seer cardigan, which I've also talked about, especially the last episode, I think. The Old Centrum is a 3-ply yarn, which makes it really good for cables or texture, and the Seer cardigan has the texture. Old Centrum is great for lace as well, but the Autumn Leaves is a lacy cardigan, and I think that the Tamar by Blacker is going to be better suited. It's a different weight. It's a DK, and I think the pattern calls for a worsted weight maybe. I don't actually remember. I've got to check that. But I think the tamer is just going to have a little bit more drape in it. The original pattern was written for alpaca, which is drapey. So yes, that's where I'm going. And then, of course, I think I have a sweater's quantity of tamer at home that I need to dig out and use for this project if that's what's going to happen. I mentioned on one of my Friday shop updates that I really like the cardigan called Vanessa in the Bloomsbury book by Marie Wallin. It's an all-over colourwork sweater in DK white, so that would be a quicker knit. And this is knitted in rowan felted tweed because the whole book in Bloomsbury is for rowan felted tweed. This is the one where she's sitting on the bed in her cardigan with her beautiful checked skirt. And it's called Vanessa, and it looks like a really nice quick knit. I haven't looked properly at the pattern. I'm guessing it's in pieces though, but that would be easy to convert into the round, wouldn't it? So I think I'm going to look at maybe doing this coming up next and maybe putting together some kits for that too, because I have all the colours in the shop and that might be very nice to do. So that might be up next for me too. I'm thinking about that. And I'm still thinking about knitting a raglan sweater in 4-ply of my own design, just, my own putting together, very vanilla type sweater. I do wear my vanilla sweaters to death, so I know that would be a very well used sweater, and that will be probably in used 4-ply. I've got a couple of skeins of Sayaban set aside for me, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, but this is lovely and I would love to wear this. So, and I'm waiting for another order to come in from UST. Hazel, who's the mill manager, is out on maternity leave now, so just waiting to reconnect about that with somebody else at the mill. And of course, the Tegna by Caitlin Hunter. I want to knit that in Jameson. No, I don't. I want to knit that in John Arbon in their Devonia 4-ply. And I think rather than short sleeve, I'd make mine 3/4 length sleeves. So it'd be a nice shoulder season piece. And I'm just waiting for more Devonia to come in. Yeah, so these are the sweaters that are swirling around in my head that I want to knit next. I'm also feeling the want to knit more socks. I used to be a voracious sock knitter and I really have gotten out of the way of it. But knitting my fair feet socks lately has been really nice and a nice break from sweater knitting. So I think I want to knit more socks. And I do have a plan coming up for the last 2 weeks of June that maybe all of us who are interested can knit together. And I'll tell you more about that very soon. I'll tell you about that through all the various channels so that you know about it. And I'll also put it in Ravelry as well. KAL news. Well, I am helping host a very informal KAL for Marie Wallin Designs. And the hashtags on Instagram are Marie Wallin KAL or Wallin Along, which is my favorite. And I'm co-hosting this with Sarah from Yarns at Yinhu, Emily at Fibertown, and Sarah of Fiber Trek. The four of us are knitting on various Marie Wallin designs, and we wanted you to join us. There's a lot of sweater knitting going on because this is going right through the summer, right through to Rhinebeck. So you got a good long time to be knitting on a beautiful Marie Wallin sweater or a cushion or a burra cowl or a hat or whatever you want. The rules are very relaxed. There will be prizes down the pike and just knit with us. Post your photos on Instagram using those hashtags and enjoy the knitting of it. I'm really pleased that the Bressa kits and the Yell kits are doing well, which means there is going to be quite a few sweaters of Marie Wallin's showing up, hopefully at Rhinebeck. I'd love to see that for sure. All right, so I think we need to move on now to the Woolly Thistle shop update. I suppose now that I do the little videos on Friday, this is sort of the big mother load where I give you everything I can think of, whereas on the video, it's just a quick snapshot. So as always, the Woolly Thistle is doing really, really well. Even now that we're all the way through May. We've had really a great turnout for the shop. Thank you so much if you have been visiting and shopping with us. I do appreciate it. And just keep doing that. And remember to tag any purchases you share on Instagram with the Woolly Thistle, because that way I can see where all that lovely yarn is going. Hopefully by now, it's not up yet, but maybe by the time you're listening to this, there will be Jamieson & Smith grab bags available in the shop again, new and improved. If you don't know, the Woolly Thistle has offered a couple of times now grab bags from Jamieson & Smith in their 2-ply jumper weight yarn. And basically it was a grab bag because you didn't get to choose the colors. You just knew that you were getting one of each of whatever colors we grabbed and put in the bag. And you got a baker's dozen because you got 13 balls in there, actually for the price of 10. I think last time it was the price of 11. And they did extremely well. And so that got me wanting to find a way to improve on this even more. And the only way you can improve on this is to be able to choose your own colors and quantities thereof. So, you know, if you wanted to buy 15 balls of Jamieson & Smith, 13 of them could be from a grab bag at a greatly reduced price than you would pay if you were buying all 15 from, at top dollar. So I like this a lot, and I floated the idea of doing this out on Instagram and got, of course, lots of thumbs up from people who would enjoy that. And so maybe it's in the shop now. You know, there's a little bit of time between recording and it going up in the shop on Friday, and hopefully it's there. Please go check it out. Go and look at Jamieson & Smith 2-ply jumper weight in the shop, and you may well find that there's grab bag prices in there. My hope is that you're able to choose whatever colors you want in whatever quantities you want. And if you have 13 or more, that you then get a discount equal to 13 for the price of 10. So fingers crossed I can make that work. Wanted to let you know too that the Fair Isle cap kits are back in stock and Peary Fleurs are back in too. And of course, this is a lovely time to be knitting the Peary Fleurs kit. This is a very spring-like hat knitted in Jamieson & Smith 2-ply. The pattern, of course, by Kate Davies. And you get the Woolly Thistle tote bag as well as a lovely set of floral stitch markers. Marie Wallin's book Shetland is currently out of stock, but we are waiting for it to come in any day now. So that will be back in, I hope, by the time you hear this. And I've been putting together kits, as you know, from the book. This is all in Jamieson Spindrift. And we now have kits in Yal, Bressa, Cowl, the Scalloway, Tam, and Skerry mittens. And they're all doing really well. If something you want from the selection is out of stock, the best thing to do is to click on the button, notify me when available, because when you click on that and put your email address in there, you will be notified as soon as the yarn is back in, and we can ship that out to you. So that is a really great service, and it prevents me from taking down everybody's name who wants notified and then losing that piece of paper. So this is a much more elegant and efficient way of being notified when something you want is out of stock, and you will be the first to know when it's back in stock. I am planning to do the Vanessa from the Bloomsbury book as well as a kit. I think that would be lovely, and that may well be in the shop too by the time you hear this. And that's knitted in Rowan felted tweed. And that's a DK weight colorwork cardigan. So yeah, that'll be beautiful. Let's see. While I'm talking about Marie Wallin, her Wildwood books are in stock, and we may well have the first of her yarn in by the time you hear this. If not, it'll be right around the corner. I only have 3 colors of this coming because that's all that's available. And then the rest of the yarn and the gift boxes will be in mid to late June, I believe. So we're in a holding pattern for that. I would recommend that even if you have before clicked the notify me button for the gift boxes, that you do that again. A lot happens in this electronic world, and one of the things that recently happened is that MailChimp and Shopify had a divorce, and I had a foot in with Shopify and a foot in with MailChimp, so I had to change email providers. And I don't know, that may cause some of you not to get your notice when the gift boxes come back in, because you would have clicked that button before their divorce. It's so sad. I do have a list of you though, and I do plan to manually notify you, but save yourself the worry as well. And if you're in the shop, just go to the gift box, click on the notify me button, put in your email, and you will be able to sleep at night knowing that you will be the first to know, or amongst the first to know, that the gift boxes are there. And of course, when that email comes in, be ready. Have decided beforehand whether you want one or not, because I fear that if you hold off, you will miss out. Okay, enough of that. So, John Arbon, we're waiting for more Devonia, and we will be stocking their annual book, so that's coming soon. Let Lopi and Plotolopi are in plenty supply, which is wonderful. We love that stuff here. And we have sets still for Edo shawls, Larsdatter, and Althida, which is Jen Steingass's newest pattern. And we have 2 shades for that. The original that you see in the photo, it used to be called Steel. Now it's called Grey Heather. I believe it's just Grey Heather. It's number 9102. And we've been out of stock of that, but more of that's coming, and it may well be in when you hear this. We have a light Grey Heather as well that used to be called Silver. And we have some of that still in stock. So all of that will be topped up, hopefully by Friday when you hear this. So this is Jen's new pattern. It is available as a Ravelry download as of May 27th, which I believe is Memorial Day. So I'm so sorry that I jumped the gun. I was so excited when I saw it in Ravelry. I thought I saw that the pattern was available. And of course, it's only available in the Interweave book until May 27th. So you can get the pattern. You just had to wait a wee bit, and I'm sorry about that. That was my over-eagerness and just utter love for anything Jen puts out there. And I was just so thrilled that she came up with a design for Plotolopi, and we had to have it, right? So anyway, we'll have lots of those in stock. Tuku fingering and Tuku sock is well stocked, with more coming. So if you're out of a shade that you need, that should be coming back in. They still have a couple of colors that are out of stock, but for the most part, everything's there. And Rauma is in good supply in Finalgarn, Strickgarn, Gamelzeri, but I do have another order coming, and it may well be in by the time you hear this. More color cards are coming too. And of course, the lovely new mama, Melody Hoffman, who's B Mandarins, recently came out with her folksy sweater. And that was knitted in 2 different colorways, one using Gamelzeri by Rama. And we had enough for several kits, and I think we might still have 1 or 2 in. Unfortunately, that base color, though, is going to be very hard to get before, I think, the end of the summer now. So if you were on the fence about that and you do want it, go look and see if it's even still there. And if it is, then it's going to be a while before you can get it again, I think. The other colorway is another yarn that I'm not familiar with, and I don't know if you can even get it here. So that is a lovely sweater by Melody. Blacker yarns, we're waiting for more Lioness. Lioness has been flying off the shelves in both the DK and 4-ply, and my supply is getting low, so hopefully that won't take too long. And, of course, we've had the Harriet's hat. I'm jumping back to Jameson and Smith right now. Harriet's hat is a very worthy cause. It's a beautiful Shetland designed Fair Isle colorwork hat in 6 colors. Jameson Spindrift has a color set, and so does Jameson and Smith. And I offered to create kits for that, yarn sets for that, where you just buy the yarn. You get a 10% discount on the cost. I'm going to donate the profits from the sale of those sets to the same appeal, which is an MRI for Shetland. The people of Shetland have to go down to the mainland and sometimes down to Glasgow, which is quite far down and away for them, and at great expense and trouble and travelling. So Shetland is trying to raise money for their own MRI, which is fantastic and a very worthy cause, I think. And lots of knitting celebrities have been getting on board with this, so you will have heard about it, I'm sure. And please buy a set if you'd like that money to go to the cause, as well as of course, when you buy the pattern, it's £4 and you buy it from the organizers, and all of that money goes to the same charity. And that is mrimakers.com, MRIMAAKERS.com. So that's where you get the pattern, and you can get the yarn from me, and I'll put the profits to the fund as well. We have lots of wonderful magazines and books back in the shop. Today is Friday, May 31st, so you know that Lina 8 is out today, as well as Pom Pom Quarterly 28. Both of those have release dates of today, and I will have just been getting a butcher's of Lina 8 and Pom Pom today. So, or maybe yesterday, by the time you hear this, but we will have been working hard to get all of your orders out to you. And hopefully it's all done and dusted. And you might even be listening to this while reading your new magazine. Also just in is By Hand Serial number 9, and they are set in Nova Scotia. And I love this magazine. I've always loved this magazine. She travels around the US and Canada, checking out all the makerly type things in that area. And she's been all over the country doing this. It is such a colorful, happy, bright magazine, and it's printed on very lovely paper. It's more like a book than a magazine. And this time she's in Nova Scotia, and I decided to get more copies of this than I normally would because, number one, I want to go to Nova Scotia, so I wanted one for myself. I have been up to Prince Edward Island, but that was many a year ago, and I would love to get up that way again because there's all kinds of good woolly things happening up there, and they're all in this beautiful edition of By Hand. So if you have any interest at all, I would grab one of those. She tends not to reprint her issues, so once they're sold, they are gone. You can't get them anymore. Okay, Amarisu is just out with their summer issue 2, which is absolutely beautiful, and I did a little show and tell of that on one of the Friday shop updates. I think the beauty of those shop updates being so short is that maybe you can just look through them all at once, one after the other, and be done within half an hour or maybe 40 minutes. I don't know. But, you'll have a good sense of what is in the shop by watching those maybe on YouTube or something like that. What else? Ziggurats is back in stock, and that's the book by Asa Soderman. And she has this excellent technique of how she knits her sweaters all in one piece. And she was featured on Fruity Knitting a few episodes ago now. So her book is back. And of course, we have Rama's Selbu Mitten book in stock. I do want to tell you that I will have Shetland Wool Week 2019 here as soon as I'm allowed to have it. That'll be down the pike. Mittens of Latvia, of course, is in. Oh, and let's see what else. Making Stories magazine. That is such a great magazine, and I still have a few left, both for retailers who wish to sell it in their shops, as well as if you want to just buy a copy from me, I can do that too. And I've had a sneak peek at the second issue that will be coming out in October, which is ages away yet. It looks even better though. It looks fantastic, and I'm really excited to get that when it comes. So just keep your eyes open for that and check out Making Stories magazine. It's really a really very good publication. Knox Mountain shawl cuffs. Have you seen these? Lovely Annie Claire posted a picture of herself on Instagram wearing her shawl, and it was held together with this leather cuff. And I was like, that is a brilliant idea. And of course, I managed to find that it's Knox Mountain, who are a couple of knitters, I think, who have come up with this repurposing of these leather straps. So, and they have a nice big snap on them. So those will be in the shop if they're not already there. Go check them out. Very reasonably priced, very nice soft leather, lots of different designs, and I think a really helpful thing for those of us who wear shawls. Turn Studios. I have more yarn bowls going in the shop. This time they're all medium sized and they're all beach. So they're very pale wood color, very blonde wood. You can see all the markings of the wood. Some of them have a knot here or there that just adds to the charm of it. They've been smoothed so that your yarn won't catch. Also going in the shop for the first time from our friend Jack of Turn Studios are some hand-turned Nostipins. Oh, I feel like Harry Potter. I'm holding mine right now and I'm casting spells. These are beautiful and they come in different woods. I just have a few, but in there we've got birch and cherry. I'm not sure what else off the top of my head, but they'll all be listed in the shop. And they're lovely, just lovely. He does such nice work. So those will be in. Coming soon and on their way to me now, I believe, is a whole host of wonderful goodness from Katie Greenbean, who's just a little darling, isn't she? She designed the Thistle mittens called Acanthia mittens, and we will have more of those sets back in stock just as soon as the wool comes in. That's in Jameson Spindrift. And lastly, I want to mention Ninja Chicken's Seer cape. We've sold several of these. This is a beautiful, gigantic cape knitted in Harrisville Designs Watershed with a lot of wool in it. And oh my gosh, I mean, it has a colorwork border. It has texture going up the sides, Latvian braids going on. It's got all the things and it's absolutely beautiful. Check it out on my shop. That's the Seer cape, Seer, and I'm selling those as kits. And you can get them in adult or child size. And the pattern comes from Marie Ninja Chickens, and she's done a beautiful job designing that. Well, I think that's all we all have time for this time. So thank you so much for taking the time to join me and listen to me go on and on about my knitting and the shop. I hope you have a lovely couple of weeks until we chat again. I'll see you on Instagram. And I think all that's left to say is if you go out, take your knitting. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the Woolly Thistle podcast from the Woolly Thistle online shop. You can find all the items discussed at thewoollythistle.com. 2 L's in Woolly. You can join our Ravelry group by searching in Ravelry for The Woolly Thistle. The podcast is available on iTunes and at thewoollythistle.com. You can reach Corrine at hello@thewoollythistle.com. Follow The Woolly Thistle on Instagram at The Woolly Thistle. Join our newsletter for all the latest news and subscriber specials at thewoollythistle.com. Thank you for listening.